and this is Bright Light Chronicles 5. And today I'm talking about spiritual warfare in your relationships. Today I was watching a video of a woman who is currently going through spiritual warfare in her marriage. And with someone who has experienced this, I know firsthand what that looks like and what it feels like to the person that is on the opposite end of the person that's actually under attack or demonically possessed. And it's a lot. It's a lot, y'all. It's a lot that happens in a relationship where it is being spiritually attacked. For me, I do feel like it happened in my previous marriage because there was so much warfare. And me and my ex-husband during the marriage, we talked about it. We talked about how there was spiritual warfare. We knew that it may have come from family or just outside sources because, I was on social media. I've been on social media for a while. And I would post about our family and about our marriage. And even though our marriage wasn't perfect, it was definitely doing well, right? With compared to probably a lot of marriages with, how we communicate. We talked about our love and how we met in high school. We talked about, we did have one child together, but we also miscarried before we had my daughter, who is now about to be 13. We had a miscarriage, and I know that that was a spiritual attack because of the dream I had and what I felt before the child was taken. That's a real thing, and people don't talk about that until I heard a woman today talking about it. It is real. There was many spiritual attacks in my previous marriage, especially when we moved into this particular house. Well, actually before that, but this particular house is when it was like spiritual warfare at times, probably times, it was just times something, right? And when you're in something and at that time I was not as spiritually aware as I am today. Okay, I was not. In my previous marriage, I was still learning. I still trusted God and loved God, but I was lukewarm in some areas because even though my husband was leading me, there were some things that were contradictory that I could have been like, no, let's consult with God, right? When you're going through spiritual attacks in your relationships or relationship, it can be relationships or relationship, meaning your spouse or partner, or meaning friends or people you don't even know. When you're going through these spiritual attacks, depending on where your mindset is, and your mind should always be to God, but if you're not there and your mind is somewhere else, and even though you may be a child of God and you love God and you pray, right? Even though you do those things, the attacks can still keep coming. And when I was in the attacks early on in my previous marriage, it was probably 5 years in, and we had already been attacked within 6 months of us being married. Probably before then, we were already attacked. But when I really realized it was we were living in this house and we were being spiritually attacked. I did not necessarily put that word to it, but as I look back, we were. There was an attack on our marriage because I was at the stance where I felt like I was giving it all to the marriage. You know, it was a blended marriage, which means that there were other kids. There were kids involved. So I had my child, and he had 3 children, and then we had a child together. And at that time, we had all of our kids, so it was 5 kids total. And it was a attack of like the enemy saying that that I was cheating. And when my then husband was like, "You're cheating on me," I was just like bewildered because I was at the stance of I'm giving it all to the marriage. I was giving it all. I even was singing the song, "I'm Not Your Superwoman," right? I was singing, "I'm Not Your Superwoman." And if you don't know that song, it goes like this: I'm not your superwoman. I'm not the kind of girl that you can let down and think that everything's okay. Boy, I am only human. Her name is Karen White, and it's called Superwoman. And I was singing that song. And do you know, he turned his back on me while I was singing the song. I was so hurt. I was so hurt. And there was a point where I had a business meeting to go to, and he accused me of cheat. That day I went to the business meeting, I was with um, a family member as well who was at the business meeting with me, and he was accusing me of cheating. And all I can remember was I was at the business meeting. It was many people around. I went in the bathroom to have a conversation with him on the phone, and I was crying, bawling, crying, because he was accusing me of cheating, and he was like really coming at me, and I'm just was bewildered. And I left out that bathroom, and I had red eyes and tears, and I was embarrassed. And that night, I ended up spending the night over at my cousin's house because of the distance from where I was and my house. And I called my then husband and told him, and he was accusing me again, to the point where I had to put my cousin on the phone to let him, to really like prove to him. And there had never been um any arguments about cheating or any accusations that had come up before year 5, but for some reason it was just crazy. And I was on a spiritual high, meaning I was rebuking, and I was like seeing things in with my spiritual eyes. And he was like, "You're crazy, and you're thinking I was gonna hurt him." Was sleeping with a knife under my pillow. It was crazy. He was sleeping in the basement. I was sleeping on the first floor. It was crazy, but it was a spiritual attack. And we almost divorced that year, and it continued throughout the marriage, even up until the point where I went through with the divorce. I filed for the second time in 2024. And it was still a spiritual attack on the marriage. And the marriage ended October 2024. And in December 2024, I went back into the marital home for many different reasons. One was financial. I wasn't financially able to support myself all the way. I could have probably went to a shelter and other things. My daughter was still in the house, so I did want to go back, and she was definitely needing that, mommy time. So I slept in the guest bedroom, and we were not together. However, I was so lost because I was like, why am I in this place again? I divorced him. Like, why am I back here, God? I was like, God. And what I realized is I had not learned the lessons I needed to learn before. Sometimes when you don't learn things the first time, you go in a cycle. And I had been in a cycle for many years in that marriage. But if you don't learn those lessons, you go in a cycle. You keep going through the same thing over and over and over again. Yeah, that was true. That was true. God was telling me that, and I that's why I went through the divorce. And that was the second time I had filed, and it went through. I had moved out, got my own apartment. The divorce went through, and then I moved back into the marital home, and we were not together. However, I was so lost, and I learned so much within 2025. That happened in 2025, and I learned so much about myself, and I was able to break the cycle. I left again January of this year, and God has had me isolated. I have been working on my purpose that God has for my life, which I've been knew what my purpose was, but within the marriage, I was not able to do it. I was not able to go through it, walk in it. I wasn't. And a lot was, yes, thank you. A lot was because I was listening to other people. My spouse was a part of who I was listening to when it came to me wanting to just go out and do my purpose. So my purpose was delayed because of that. And I would feel depressed because of it. I was in oppression. But when God delivered me, December of 2025, I felt freedom like no other. I felt freedom. And I just decided just to go all out. And that's when I left. The I was in Arizona, y'all. I left Arizona and I came back to the Midwest. Um, and I and God just began to just talk to me. And I just continued to just keep my eyes on the Lord. I fasted more, I prayed more. Um, and that's something I always did throughout my marriage as well, and throughout my life, fasting and praying. But let me tell you, it has opened up a lot. I am so free. I have so much joy. And I've always been a person that was positive and had love, but it's just on a whole nother level. I am not rushing to be married again. I know that I post things on here saying my husband is coming, my husband is coming. And I know God has, um, that is something that God has promised me. However, I want my husband to continue to be prepared as I am being prepared for him. Okay? Thank you. I want my husband to continue to be prepared by God as God is continuing to prepare me for marriage, because it is so much that you give up when you become married. Like, you're blending you two together. Like, their strongholds is your strongholds. Like, their issues are your issues. If they have not confronted their issues, it becomes your issues. If they have not confronted those strongholds become your strongholds. Like, if they have family issues, or generational curses they have not broken, those generational curses become yours. So, it's a lot. Like, people think that you're just marrying the personality, you're just marrying the way they look, you're just marrying the way they do business, the way they show up, even as a leader. However, it is spiritual for me. Like, marriage is spiritual. And if you two are not spiritually aligned, there's going to be problems. Because if you're not able to go to your spouse when you're married and let them know, hey, we're having some issues in this area, it may be spiritual. Let's pray. Let's get on our knees and pray. Let's fast for 3 days so we can get some clarity from God. Like, that's the type of marriage I want. And my husband has to be spiritually um, just in alignment with God. He has to just love God and know that Jesus is the one that provided our way to God, because Jesus is the way, the life. Oh, Jesus is my first love. Like, you have to, my husband that's being prepared by God just know I'm being prepared too, and just know that I am serious about my walk and how I'm being prepared. And I'm being consistent in the things that I'm doing on a daily basis. Yes, exactly. So when you come together, like you're saying, like your problem is our problem. Like it's not just an individual thing. And being able to recognize things in the spiritual that may be happening, like when you're being attacked, to have a partner say, yeah, you're right about that. Not having a partner that says you're going crazy, or to have a partner that says you can do that, but I'm not fasting. Or to have a partner be like, you can go ahead and be the covering of the house, I'm not. Or to have a partner that does not understand that his wife is a blessing to him, you're doomed. Because if you're in something like that, go to God. But know that this spiritual warfare out here is serious, especially against relationships. God wants you to have a fruitful marriage, but the devil wants to kill it. The devil wants to kill your marriage. The devil wants to have strife and accusations in your marriage. And there are people that are possessed, that are in marriages. They're possessed with different demonic entities. And you can tell because you be like, that is not my husband. Like, you be like, my husband is loving and caring, and this person in front of me is not my husband. They're narcissistic, meaning that they have traits of belittling you, or not being emotionally there. And they have issues, and you're like, they have demonic oppression, but they're not going to be able to hear you. They're not, because they're demonically oppressed. So having someone that is being prepared by God and is spiritually aligned and being specifically prepared for you, and wait on that. Don't be in a rush. Wait on that. It's so important, because I'm waiting. I'm not rushing. I know what God promised me, and I'm waiting on that. I'm not going to rush that person being prepared. That person is being prepared as I am now being prepared. And we will be aligned spiritually, because we will be in purpose, working together on purpose. There will be a purpose. There will be God at the forefront, Jesus, the man, then me, and we will have purpose that we're working towards. And I am not rushing that process. I am not rushing the process. So I wanted to just come on here today just to kind of briefly talk about this. I will be going live on this platform just to talk about a lot of different topics, and it will be called Bright Light Chronicles. So I look forward to connecting with you all on this platform, and I am so excited to meet everyone. Thank you. I see you, Kelly. Thank you so much for your comments. I see you, Miss Jackson. Thank you. And the Connor, thank you so much for the comments. Santana and Sprout, thank you for tuning in. But I will be coming on weekly, probably like twice a week, just to come on here and connect with you all. But thank you so much for taking the time to come and listen to me, and also subscribe, like the post, and also share. Okay, until next time, you all have an amazing rest of your day. Bright light, keep shining. Now let me see how I get out of here. Bye.